OBS is being silly. Hi. Nine-second stream. We did get 9 seconds out. Would not show chat. OBS was being weird about things. Hi. So, another board repair video. I'm Paul. Anybody doesn't know me. What I have here is a MacBook Air, which is my favorite to work on. MacBook Air, the old Air, the 2013 to 2015, I think is the hardiest MacBook that they've ever made. These things come back from just about anything. Just coffee, if this one here is a coffee spill, let me overhead you. Overhead. So this MacBook here is a coffee spill MacBook, and yeah, it got pretty much over everything. And yeah, pretty much everything that could be wrong with a MacBook liquid damage is wrong in this one here. So we got some JTAG damage, we got some SMC reset damage, we got some PP3v42 damage. Let's see here. We got some stickiness in the display port. That's going to be okay. That should be okay. But let's remove the board and see how bad it is from the other side. This side is not always telling. We got some damage on the DC-in cable. But these machines are the hardiest that they've ever done. You can do all of this damage to these things, and most of the time, it will survive it. This thing will come back from this. You'll see what's broken, you'll figure out what's broken, and you'll just replace it, and it will just work. The new ones, you can't say the same for. We have these new ones with a T2 chip and everything, the CD3217s, there's too much, I think there's too much software integration within the hardware. You have all these chips that have firmware, and the firmware gets corrupted and the entire machine doesn't work for it. And at one time we were able to fix some of these things by, refilling the Bridge OS on T2. That hasn't worked in a while. I don't know if they did something to make it not work anymore or something. I don't know. Either that or we're just seeing issues that have not arisen before. Tweezers. No, everything's sticky in here. It's a trackpad cable. That's probably going to have to be replaced. I better take the battery out too, and we'll check the trackpad, the other side of that cable. This screwdriver right here is a Wow Stick. The Wow Stick F1, I believe. Comes with this screw pad here too, and all the tips you would ever need. It's very convenient. When you're screwing these things in and out all day long, this thing really helps. Some people say it's underpowered. I've never found it. Stickiness everywhere. Oh, it's still wet. It smells like good coffee. So let's see here. This is the keyboard cable that goes to the trackpad. The keyboard talks to the trackpad. Trackpad talks to the system. So these look good. There's a bunch of coffee all in here. I'll clean it up as we get closer to getting this thing working. But this, I don't know. We'll look at that under the microscope. I might be able to just brush that up. That might work out okay. Let's see what the underside of this board looks like. Oh, that's stuck in there with coffee. Okay, trick for this. Don't keep forcing on the wire when you got something that you know stuff is sticky and it's stuck in there with coffee. Unfortunately, alcohol won't work. You use some Windex. I got one of the dripper bottles here full of Windex. Windex works on sticky. Alcohol just laughs at sticky. So we'll just flood this a little bit with Windex. Give it a second and it'll probably come right out no problem. Windex takes care of sticky. There you go. Ooh, the sound of the board coming out. think the backside's going to look pretty bad too. Ooh, so we can tell from right here. This is SMC area, so SMC got it. This is clock chip area and BIOS area. This is U1950, and we'll reveal it over here. So yes, U1950 got hit. This is the top corner of, is that CPU reg? No. That's one of the DDR3 or something like that. That's a sensor, some BIOS, clock chip. Oh, it missed SMC. It was a little bit outside of SMC. And it's going to need a backlight driver. Okay, so what we do in this case, take a look at the whole board. Everything is full of yuck everywhere. So we got, you know, U1950, BIOS, clock chip, backlight driver. That's PP bus current sense, or CPU HS current sense. One of them, it's a current sense. Something on the SSD. That's not good for an SSD's health. So what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to dunk it in the ultrasonic cleaner first before we start working on it. So we make a note of everything that we see wrong. And then we'll clean up all the stickiness and the green off of it. And then we'll see what we got going. So let's take it completely down. So I'm sorry I'm missing everybody's chat. I'm not good at reading chat while I'm working. I have it open here, but take the thermal paste off before we go in the ultrasonic cleaner, because this just fouls up the water. So I will go ultrasonic this. Where's my camera? I'll go ultrasonic this and I'll be right back. Going out in the wild. Put that on. One moment, please. So it's in the ultrasonic cleaner for a two-minute cycle. So as soon as the 2 minutes is up, I'll bring it back in here. We'll dry it off with the hot air and see what we got. We'll inspect everything that we just saw under the microscope and see what we got. Let me get some donor boards. I'm definitely going to need donor boards for this one. Okay, got 2 donor boards. They seem reasonably populated with stuff. The plushies are Erica's. She wins them on some crane game or something like that. And she gets some sent here. I don't know if she has 2 accounts. One's registered to here, one's registered to Lewis's apartment. Some of them are cute. They're all very Asian. So when Lewis is going to move out of state, is Paul going to take over doing live board repair streams? Possibly. I'll do some board repair streams. We're gonna rotate around. Me, Dan, possibly Anel if he can get his shit together. You know, get all his shit together, get it all together in a bag, and then maybe he might stream. One moment, please. Okay, so the board went into our Crest Ultrasonic Cleaner. We have the CP1200 Ultrasonic Cleaner. And after that, the ultrasonic cleaner is filled with Branson EC and distilled water. And now it's covered in 100% alcohol, or 99.9% isopropanol alcohol to displace all the water. And now I will turn on some fume extraction and give it some hot air just to clean it up, dry it up, so we can see what's going on this, what's actually broke. That's low air. Okay, let's get under the microscope and we'll see what we got going on here. Microscope cam. Okay, so you got the U1950 area. Yep, that may have survived. No, that probably didn't survive. Capacitor needs to go. Probably U1950 needs to go. Everything looks good here. Still some yuck on here. I only gave it a half a cycle. Okay. Clock chip looks okay. SMC's good. Is this test point whole? Oh. That test point is whole, so that is good. Let's take a look at the backlight driver. Zoom in right under there. Oh, look at that. Yep, that's the feedback. Lighten that up. That's the feedback ball in the corner there. There should be 5 balls across there. You only see 4, and the capacitor kind of getting in the way. Yeah, that's the feedback ball. That's where backlight voltage comes back into the chip so it can monitor itself. And that is gone, so this chip needs to come off. Everything else looks good there. Yeah, that's the current sense. That is done. ISL still looks good, and yeah, nothing usually gets hit around here. Sometimes you get a drop of liquid right in here. Everything looks good there. This is an important chip. If this gets wet, it usually is done for the machine. This is a CPU regulator. It's one of the only areas that can kill this board, and it usually doesn't get hit. So now we're on the other side. Let's see. Usually got liquid around here, nothing. Hey, JTAG came out okay. This JTAG might actually live. I might not kill it. PP342 input looks nice and clean now. What else did I say? SMC reset. That looks fine now. And screen connector looks fine. Now, screen connector was sticky. Let's, I'm going to take the board off the edge of the desk. Let's look inside of this and see if we could see the pins that it connects to. Yeah, the backlight pins are usually the ones that go. It's second and third, or third and fourth? Third and fourth, I think. And they look good. The inside of the connector's fine. This connector survived, it's just fine. And backlight pins are a little crusty up top here. We'll coat them with some solder. It'll look okay. Okay, so yeah, this looked pretty nasty, but now that it's cleaned up, we've got something going on. This looks like this will be just fine. So let's start here. Let's clean up this these two pins. Flux. Who's got the flux? There's the flux. I'll use the proper amount of flux for this job. A little dab will do you. Take my micro pencil. A little bit of fresh solder, and let's just coat the pins up to the top. And this does two things. This is going to reinforce the pins that are a little bit corroded, and it will also indicate to you if you need to change it or not. So when you're doing this, the flux and the heat is going to evaporate all of the corrosion. Any oxidation that's on here is going to get evaporated. And if it happens that these pins are all oxidation, which can happen, the pin will just fall apart as soon as you hit it with heat. And then you know definitely it wouldn't have survived and you need to just change it. But that took that well, so we don't need to change this connector. Connector's good. I did see a bunch of corrosion around this, so I'm just going to hit it with the micro pencil on either side. Nice little reflow on each side. Make sure we got some nice clean fresh solder on that. Yeah, that's all clean. I'm gonna let you live. Okay, backside. This is where we need work. So U1950. This is coming off. These tweezers are ridiculous. I brought my screwdriver, I didn't bring my tweezers. Yeah, that pin that's copper there, that's where PP342 comes into the circuit to turn on U1950. U1950 is along the... Thing's falling out. Let me show you. Go to the schematic and board view. U1950 is right here. This dude goes bad all the time on MacBook Airs. Where he is It's just, even if you have a little bit of water on your hands or something, you just wash your hands and you go type on your machine, it will get U1950. Don't know how. I've never actually looked at the case and see why, but U1950 always dies. So U1950 is a logic gate for syspowerwork R. So power management, PCH system power OK. So this is telling the machine that it has all its power. It's with what's the other signal? All sys power good. This works hand in hand with Q8150 over here for all sys power good. All of these resistors here are different different lines that are coming in to U1950, and it's comparing all of these to make sure that everything's on, and then it tells the PCH, the platform controller hub, that, hey, power's good, you can continue your boot. So, always dead. Clean up those two pads, and hopefully one of these donor boards has a U1950 on it, which is exceedingly rare because these things are always dead. Donor board number 1, no U1950. Donor board number 2, no U1950. How about the second one that's on the board? So this chip is in two places on this board. It's not U1950. It's the whatever logic gate this is. It's an AND gate? I forget my logic gate, the way they look. The tombstone-shaped gate. But I have another one in a completely different spot. So this one's up over here by the BIOS and all that. There's U1950. On the donor board, down over here, in the completely opposite end of the board, this is the same chip. This is V08. It's the same chip. It's just upside down from what we're seeing it on the other one too. So I could take that one off of there. Right. Get a little bit more comfortable here. Right at the edge of the desk. So we'll take this chip off of here. We'll put it up over there. Okay. There's our chip. Got to turn it around. I believe. I should consult with the board view. Yes, this is the way it goes. Pin 1 is in the upper right corner. And I'll just flow that right into place. As for the capacitor, let's see what value that was. It's a weird value. 0.1 microfarad 201. So let's, where is it? Schematic board view. So this is the capacitor that's missing. C1950. 0.1 microfarad, so let's find a 0.1 microfarad to replace it with, because the one on the donor board is not in the place. So let's see here. Nope, wrong one. I need to search over here. There we go. Nope. 0.1 microfarad. And what do we got? That's a 402. Is my pointer in the right spot? No, my pointer's not in the right spot. So yeah, you see here, this is a 402, so we can't use that one. We need a 201. So let's next. 402, 402. There we go. Let's see where this is on the board. It's right underneath where we're working at. Is that on this donor board? Yes, that is on this donor board. So this is the one I'm going to take and put up over there. Actually, I should check 10 volts. Is that... Yeah, it's PP342, so it should be 10 volts. Let's just make sure. $16 volts. Let's find the right one. It wants a 16 volt one there. I'm going to put a 16 volt one there. Doesn't really matter because it's 342, but I'm still going to stay with what it says. 0.1 microfarad. Now let's go through this again. 201 10 volt. 6.3. 201 16 volt. Here we go. Where are you? You are all the way in that corner. Are you there? Yes, it is on this board. So this is the one we're going to take and put in place over there. Oop. A little too much wind while I'm trying to move it. Oh, these tweezers are insane. That's all the flux you need to get the thing to go into place. I scooped it up off the board from an area that I was working on before. That's all you need. Okay, U1950's all nice and fixed up. Let's keep moving down the board. Let's get a Q-tip on this stuff and see what it looks like. Got a little bit of scrub on this. Gross. Okay, that resistor just moved right off of its pad. The solder did look a little dark, but I didn't think it was actually disconnected, but do a little bit of scrubbing and look what it reveals. So this guy's got to go. Fix up those pads a little bit. Scrapey, scrape. And we got some nice puffy little pads right there of solder. Hopefully this donor board has that. Yes, it does. PC vitamins, yeah, this looked pretty nasty. But errors come back from it. 2015 errors, they could look absolutely disgusting, and they will come back from it. Lewis has the long tweezers, and he has no Barlow lens on the microscope, so it's a short working distance. It's a bad combination. Okay, so that looks good. This probe point here, I don't like the way it's coppered. So we're just going to put a little bit of flux on that, and we're going to cover that in a little bit of solder. Easy. A lot of board repair. Let's give this a little scrub. See if anything pops off here. Everything's good there. I don't like those 2 test points again, so I'm going to do the same thing here. Might give the clock chip a little reflow too. Oh wow. That test point just went away. There was nothing left of it. Okay. Let's see if this is going to be an issue. Okay, it does not look like there is a test point underneath that. There's no, via underneath the test point. It didn't go anywhere. It was just a test point that was superficial, just right on the surface. So it doesn't connect anything this way, and it doesn't look like it connected anything through the boards. So let's check the schematic on that too. So we are working over here. More. These 2 test points right here. And yeah, the cursor doesn't line up. These 2 test points right here, this is what we're working on. So I'm going to click on one of them. This is the one that disappeared, and it doesn't go anywhere. It goes from there to there to there. So that looks like it's all superficial. If we look at the microscope again, you see it connects from there to there, and then up over there somewhere. So here it's all superficial. It doesn't look like it. It's all on layer 1 on the very top. That didn't go under anywhere. But this one's kind of hanging on, although it's almost severed right there. So let's see if that goes somewhere. That does go somewhere. If you look at that one, this is the test point. It goes from there, and it does go to the SMC. So this is probably underneath this this test point is probably the via where it goes into an internal board layer, and that's what brings it over to the SMC. So we should scrape a little bit. Scrape a little bit right here. Oh my god. That is a terrible blade. Okay, and that's a dirty blade. There we go. Now we're going to scrape a little bit right here to expose the trace, the surface trace. And And we'll just bridge over this entire thing with solder. Oh, I'm not a microscope, sorry. So I expose the trace up a little bit where it's nice and clean. And we're just gonna solder over the whole thing. Get a nice lump of solder on everything. Nice lump of solder, we're all soldered up. That'll be nice and sturdy. And that'll last. So that's good. Let's keep on moving down. SMC's good. Okay, here's the next spot. Here's why I might get a little bit Lewisy with the flux. Nice dollop right there. Still nothing like what Lewis would do, but nice dollop to brighten up all of these connections. All these black looking connections. I want to brighten everything up. If something falls off while I'm doing it, should never have been on the board to begin with. Let's replace it. Yeah, that one wouldn't brighten up and then it fell off the board, so goodbye. This guy too does not look good. Let's get rid of him. Yeah, he wasn't connected on one of them. Let's brighten up that pad. Scrape, scrape. And then we'll replace the things that are missing now. How's it going, NPR? Every once in a while, I will actually look over a chat. Very rarely. Get too involved in the work. We got a new capacitor. Happy little capacitor. Give me a hard time about standing up. Oh, these tweezers are killing me. Boy. Down. Now, which one are we missing? Just the bottom one. Okay, that's looking good. Now I move the microscope a little bit here. Now I need a new LP8550. This is the backlight driver. Creates the backlight voltage to give your screen backlight. So this is a BGA chip. So to take one off of a donor board would be you have to take it off and then reball it and then put the new one on. So luckily, we don't have to do that with this because we have these brand new. You can get them at store.rossmangroup.com. Tell them Paul sent you. But I need to go get one from my desk or from store.rossmangroup.com. One moment, please. So here's my mini store.rossmcgroup.com. This is the things that I change the most. I keep a stock of them on my desk. So I got CD3215s, we got display connectors, we got ISLs, and LP8550s. Straight from store.rossmcgroup.com. So I have my brand new LP8550 with fresh balls right underneath it there. So we will take this one off and see if we can recover that destroyed feedback pad that we saw earlier. So that is the right amount of flux for changing an LP8550. It stays right underneath the chip. See how it doesn't run away anywhere? It just filled under the chip, and that's all you need. You don't need your flux running off the edge of the board onto the mat, getting on your tools. Just the right amount of flux. So now I'm going to take the larger tip for this. We'll clean off all of this lead-free solder. We'll add all leaded solder to it. Let's see if we can get that pad cleaned up a little bit. Just want to touch it with a big ball of solder. Let your big ball of solder suck up all of the corrosion. No, this is not the board that destroys the CPU because the backlight goes bad. That's the A1706 MacBook Pro, 13-inch MacBook Pro. This is a A1466 MacBook Air, which very, very few things can kill these airs. There's very few areas on the board that can actually kill this machine. This is a very hardy machine. So I still see some rust on that. For you, Paul, I really like to see you share repair videos. Linux Dog, thank you very much for the 5, is that euros? I don't know currency symbols. I like sharing repair videos. I'd rather be on my own desk though, but it's just not really easily doable. I should start doing more repair videos from my own account so that I could get more used to it. Lewis wants all of us to share our repair videos more often. Just a round robin of everybody in the shop. Let everybody see what we all do, because, you know, of course Lewis doesn't fix all the machines here. He only fixes a couple of machines. It's 5 other board techs that are fixing machines. We want to show off our skills to everybody. Let you see that you know you're good sending your machine here. It's hard for me to show my channel because I don't have a link to it. I'm just Paul S, and there's a whole shit ton of Paul S's on here. One of my biggest videos is if you search for a Microsoft Band 2 teardown, you're going to find me as one of the only people that ever did a Microsoft Band 2 teardown. Either that, or I have a popular video of troubleshooting the convertible roof on a Porsche Cayenne? Porsche 911? It's one of the Porsches. One of the little Porsches we had in the shop when I used to be an auto mechanic. Other than that, I don't have any really popular videos. How's your pile? Does it grow steadily? Yeah. It's Euros, yes. What's your YouTube account name? Just Paul S. It's kind of difficult to find me. Is Hi on stream? Hi could put a link to me. Oh, Hi did put a link to me. Thank you, Hi. Does my pile grow steady? It does and it doesn't. I'm always working to lessen my pile, but it's a slow season right now, so we have time to do all of these extra videos and stuff. Where's the wick? Let's wick this up. And I'll take the goot wick, and I'll get in here and flatten out all these pads. Now that is ready for a new LP8550. So we'll take our new LP8550. Was anybody paying attention? How does this go? How did I take off the old one? Is that the way it goes? Was I able to read it? Is that the way it goes? Oh no, I don't know if I could trust anybody here. Let's just go to the schematic and board view. So let's go over to our LP8550 that we're working on. Here's the LP8550, and right here, show you it on there too. There's our LP8550 backlight driver. Here it is on the board. This is pin number 1 right here. So this is the way we have the board sitting on the desk. So pin number 1 is in the upper right-hand corner. Let's look at that. We have it exactly opposite right now. So pin number 1 is this little dot. All the chips have a little dot or a line or something indicating where pin 1 is. So that's where pin 1 goes, right there. I'll just line it up. I'll hold it down lightly. Ooh, sliding around on me. And we'll get some hot air in here and flow it into place. So this is a brand new chip. It's got lead-free solder under it, ROHS compliant. So it takes a little bit more heat than the resistors and capacitors we're working on, because that all has leaded solder, 6040 leaded solder, so that melts a lot easier than this does. Moved a little bit, and I'll just make it dance. See it dancing on its pads? And there you go. So that's a new backlight driver. We can take a look at our feedback ball where we had to completely corrode it. You couldn't even see it. And it spread out a little bit because there's a little bit more pad for it to spread out to, but that's just fine. It's nice and connected on there. Okay, this capacitor down here is missing a leg. This guy does not look good at all. Sorry, little dude, you're gone. That's ground there, so that's a little difficult to solder to. Let's get some solder on there. Maybe that's way too big. There you go. And we'll get one from the donor board for that. How do the armed forces fix CPUs, etc., so EMP from nuclear weapons doesn't try to fry everything? I don't know about any of the new stuff. We had an old radio. It's all declassified now and everything, so I could actually talk about it. There was an old radio that, in case of an EMP, in case of an explosion or something, you can remove the back plate, and there were 2 sacrificial diodes that were on the board. So you take the back plate off, and you clip off the 2 sacrificial diodes. The sacrificial diodes would have died from the EMP, and it would have shorted out and kept everything else okay. So I would hope that they had other things like that in the new, more sophisticated systems. I don't know how hard the Singars are or anything like that, but that old radio set was it was good to work on. It was all nice old through-hole stuff and everything. It was very hardy. It was funny. One of the ways you troubleshoot it is just smack it on the ground. You know, from like head high, just drop it and it'll start working again. But then the problem with that is, where do you find a working battery in a space that took a large EMP hit? All the batteries would be depleted. You're not going to get a Humvee to start. And this guy. So this is one of the system current senses. This is the current sense chip. Connects to a current sense resistor on the other side. Ooh, coffee. Thank you. I'll take a hazelnut latte. Or just some hazelnut coffee from Wawa. Scrape some of the corrosion off of this. So this is just bad solder here. This is what solder turns into as it oxidizes. It turns into this dark gray nastiness. It doesn't connect to anything and shorts things out because it actually like flows over things. Sometimes it's really hard to get off of a pad and get the pad to take solder again. Sometimes I respond to chat. I don't read chat that often. I don't know how Lewis balances so well working on the board and reading chat. I know he does it out of his peripheral vision. I can't do it. I've tried. I do my best. Most of the time I don't see what anybody's saying, but when I get a chance, when I'm heating something up or something like that, I'll look over and read, see what people are saying. So yeah, there's probably plenty of questions that people have had that I have missed. And yes, it's a great answer right there. I respond to things as long as they are relevant. I don't feed trolls. I don't delete spam. Install the T1 lice at my house. Always at my PC, double clicking on my Ms. house. Little Weird Al for you. Dave Z. Everybody say hi to Dave L. That's my friend from the automotive world. We used to be unstoppable against broken cars together. This had some nasty flux on it from the other board. That'll all come off in the ultrasonic cleaner. So, what was this for anyway? I think this is PP bus. Yes. iSense HS computing. So everything that's all PP bus that's going to computing power, going to the CPU, going to camera, I think, RAM, a couple other things, it all goes through this current sense. That way the machine knows how much it's actually working. So that's fixed. ISL is in good condition. This little guy is important down here. He's in good condition. He usually gets shitted up too. TPS 51980. This chip has a long life, a long history with MacBooks. This is the guy that provides the 5 volts and the 3.3, or I forget which one they have them on here. Yeah, 3.3 and 5 volts this guy provides. This chip has made it from all the way back here. I think he was on earlier models too. He's on the newest MacBooks. This guy has long staying power. It's a very hardy chip, TPS 51980. It's the same chip, same revision. Hasn't changed in 10 years now. That's good design right there. That's a good hardy chip, easy implementation. And Apple has been using it for years and years on all of their boards. And they rarely ever fail. They fail for liquid damage, but I've never seen one just fail on its own. Okay, ready to give this a try, I think. So I have a test DC in board here. Plug this in. Let's plug the fan back in, see if we got fan spin. Is this fan good? This fan is wet with coffee. It's still good though. So when troubleshooting these, you can power this board up without this connected, but you will not get green light on the charger. You will get power on the board, you will get everything running. You can see it, make sure that things are connected. You will get fan spin, but you don't get green light on the charger. With the machine running, you don't get sound because the sound chip is on here. But for testing purposes, it's okay to leave this piece out. But we want to see green light, so I'm going to connect that one. And where is multimeter? Yes, and I have MagSafe. And I don't know if that's on. I don't think it's on. Where's the software? Is this it? That's it. It is on. Okay. Ooh. That plug does not feel good. Is this on? Output off? Does that mean output's off, or do I click it? No, I clicked it. There you go. So we got green light, we got fan spin. And we have CPU activity. The CPU is heating up. There you go. It's a good board repair. I'm going to go pop this in the ultrasonic cleaner. I think even the fan's going to go in the ultrasonic cleaner. How's the heatsink? Heatsink is not that bad. I could Q-tip that up. So this is going to go in the ultrasonic cleaner. Let me take off the shield. It's always a good idea to take off all of the shields that are on all these cans, because water's just going to get trapped in there. You're not sure if you got everything out. So I will be right back. One moment, please. He's back. Okay, let's get some cleaning going on the machine itself. So yeah, this is gross. Turn this off. This is kind of gross. So, some alcohol for the corrosion. And it's not doing anything. Alcohol doesn't do anything for sticky stuff. Not exactly sure what it is. It does not dissolve sticky stuff. It dissolves other stuff. I don't know what it is. Inorganic, organics, something doesn't blend well there. So what I always keep around too is some Windex. So I have another bottle, another push bottle with some Windex. Now this will just take all of this right off, melt it all away. Yep, this was coffee all over this thing. They're local too. They brought it in, it was still wet. Which was the best thing for it, really. Get it to somebody, or get it open as soon as you can, disconnect that battery. That's the most important thing. Just about any electronics can survive getting wet. They can't survive getting wet with electricity in them. So anything. You get a phone wet, you get a laptop wet, you get a TV wet, and anything you get wet. Most likely it'll survive it if you just can get the power off of it. I heard my ultrasonic stop. Be right back. Hello, Kopaz. There is a wild Kopaz. He showed up here earlier. So Kopaz has an announcement. I don't know if he said anything in chat. He got a new job. Okay, so there's our board. It's still all wet. So let's dry it off. So usually to dry these things off, turn on the fume extractor. To dry these off, we put them in an oven at 150 degrees for, say, 20-30 minutes. And make sure they're nice and dry. But if you're really careful with your hot air, you got to watch the connectors. Don't overheat the connectors. Don't heat the CPU. You can heat the board from the other side of the CPU. You can dry them up right away with your hot air. You just got to be really careful. You got to know your hot air. You got to know the board. It's better if you just put them in the oven. So this is for illustrative purposes only, please. Do what I say. Don't do what I do. And that should be sufficiently dry. So we'll do some board rapid cool. And it has been rapidly cooled. The ends are still a little warm. Okay. Made me laugh as soon as I saw this. I got to clean off the CPU first. You don't want anything between your CPU and your heatsink other than thermal paste, so let's give it a little rub. Rub that CPU. Nice and clean. We'll give it some thermal paste. And we got to clean the heatsink. This too, make sure you don't leave any lint behind. No dust on it or anything. Okay. And we have a happy little board right here. And yes, I use an electric screwdriver. Should count up how many screws there are in this MacBook. And this is the smallest screw count possible in a MacBook. And I fix anywhere from 6 to 8 MacBooks a day. Take them completely apart and put them completely back together. Yeah, I use an electric screwdriver. Plus, really, it makes financial sense. This screwdriver with all of its tips costs $45. If you were to get the Wera and Weha screwdrivers for every single one of these, it's way more than $45. You still need to get a couple of them. It's missing maybe 1 or 2 sizes that you need. Okay, that's good. Let's go back to cleaning this up a little bit. Forget the Q-tips. Let's get some paper towel going. Keep it work for right to repair. Appreciate you guys watching. Really need some kind of right to repair. Nobody's really sure if we need legislation. We're going to need legislation, but we shouldn't have to. We really shouldn't. I wish these companies would just somehow we need some 90-year-old guy that used to work on Magnavoxes or something like that to become in charge of some of these companies. Bring it back to the old days when you used to get everything you wanted from the company. You still do in some sectors. Some things, some sectors, you still get... Go buy a washing machine, you open up the control panel, and there's the schematic for it right there. But it's incomplete these days. Because they don't want to give you the schematics to the digital controls. They just, on the schematic is just a big box that says digital control, and it has all the wiring from there on out. So what's to stop me from fixing my digital control? If you just give me that schematic too, I can fix the digital control rather than trying to buy a new one. Okay, let's see this. Might have to replace this. Let's see if we can clean it up. Get you under microscope. Light. Oop, flip over. Yeah, it looks pretty bad. It's not horrible though. Let's see if we can Q-tip this up. A little bit of Windex this time. Not sponsored by S.C. Johnson Wax. Yeah, a little bit of Windex really cleans it up real good for sticky stuff. And then we'll go back to some alcohol that'll displace any of the liquid Windex, make it dry a lot a lot quicker. And what's our result? Well, those pins look okay. They survived. I don't know about that one pin. Let's zoom in there. Oh, nope. That pin is gone. Just barely, but that pin is broken. So we need a new one of them. And shit's flying off the desk. Wonderful. So let's get this out of here. Goodbye. One moment, please. Man, I didn't realize how good the air conditioning was in here. It's so hot out in the shop. I got my new trackpad cable. One new trackpad cable. We'll place it in there. Now I'm not going to glue it down yet until I get it in here, so I line it up right. Let me take the board. One thing that I do that I think is a good idea, the screws on here are loose. I backed them off a half a turn, so the heatsink can move on this still. When I put it into the fixture, I'll line up everything right, line up this, screw everything down, and then I will tighten these screws down so that there's no inherent stress on the heat pipe at all. I don't think it really matters. I think it's an old automotive thing that you do stuff like that because you're dealing with a lot bigger stresses and forces in automotive. So it's something you do when putting an engine together. So I don't know if it matters here at all. It's probably way overkill, but it's just something that I do all the time. I just think it's a really good practice. Antenna wires right here are really delicate and in a really crappy spot. Gotta get the heatsink around it without breaking them or ripping into the coating. There we go. I didn't fully dry out the fan. I had this in the UC as well. So let me dry this out for a minute. Fan spinning? Fan spinning. It was a little sticky, didn't feel like it wanted to spin. So the UC cleaned all that out. There's still a little stickiness on this connector. I didn't Q-tip that. That was Windex, so now alcohol to make sure it dries. Oh, that went in a lot better. Fan looks good. Is correct torque a trade secret? In MacBook, probably. In automotive, no. You have torque specifications for every single vehicle that you would work on. It's all listed. There's torque tables for everything that you would ever work on. And it's rather important that you use the proper torque. So this is another one. I backed off a half a turn so that this is still loose but in here because I have these other two and this to locate before everything gets in right. So I don't want to like have to push the fan over and induce stresses in anything. So first I'll start with this one. Line up this usually goes centered so that the SD card and the USB is lined up properly. You can misalign this to where an SD card won't want to fit in here properly. So you have to line that up good. And the next one I line up is this one here. The other round one in the bottom corner. So now the board is pretty much where it's going to be. It can't move anymore here. So then I'll slide this over a little bit so you get it to come out a little bit. Now that hole is centered, so I'll find that little screw. And I'll put that screw in there. And now I can tighten down the heatsink. Now we can find this is a special screw that goes here. Oh yeah, special screws and long screw. This one is a short screw. This is the one that goes fan to the board, and it stops at the board. It goes through a hole and it has to stop before it tears into the board. It's a shorter screw than all the other screws in the MacBook. So you have to make sure you put the right one there, or you can destroy the MacBook. By putting the wrong screw in there and twisting it down too hard, you will destroy the board underneath here, and the fan will never work right again. It will either stay high all the time, or it won't work at all. There's really no way of fixing it in that corner. I've tried before, and there's too much stuff running in that area, and it always affects the fan when somebody long screws that. So that's enough screws to hold everything in place while we test. This is a little dirty. Let's get this again. A little bit of Windex. And a little bit of alcohol. Okay, that's everything we need to see. Some backlight. Let's see if it boots. Oop, I hit the keyboard. Did I do anything? No. I did not put... Oh, this DCM board... This DCN cable is a little bit liquid damage there. Let's use my DCN board for testing. I might have to UC the DCM board. Let's see what we got. Green light, fan spin. We have USB 3 communications by the blue lights. So I have a USB 3 link, and nothing yet. Do we have backlight? This thing smells so much of coffee. We do have backlight. Oops. I just disconnected it. It's probably looking for the person's SSD. Let's stop this. First do an SMC reset, and then we'll do a PRAM reset. So yeah, when it shut down from the liquid damage, may have been still in the middle of something, so it was trying to resume. I have a chime. And there we go. There's my OS selection. And that is one happy MacBook. Still needs some more work. It smells a lot like coffee. Still needs some cleaning. Screen needs to be cleaned. Keyboard needs to be cleaned. Trackpad needs to be cleaned. DCM board needs to be cleaned. Let's see if there's any water spots on the monitor. That's something that gets some of our customers furious. I don't know if there's just lack of communication, lack of understanding. They don't understand that the weird streaking that's in their monitor, we didn't do that. That was your coffee spill, why the whole reason you sent it here. Boom, working MacBook. All right. So I will go ahead and finish cleaning this up. I have a lot of cleaning to do. I have some paperwork to fill out now. But yeah, that's a this was a A1466 MacBook Air from 2015. That the coffee spill on this pretty much got everything that would normally get hit. The only thing that it didn't get was the LCD connector. That's the only thing that's a normal problem point that this did not get. It got everything else. So, hope you all enjoyed. Nice seeing everybody. I guess we'll all be around. We'll keep seeing everybody. Hope you learned something.